Welcome back to 4 Geeks by Geeks, the place where geeks come to geek out. As always, I'm Boozer. Happy Monday, everybody, and happy October. This is my favorite time of the year. It's spooky season, and so all month long, we're going to be having guests and topics and activities that kind of align with that, and I'm really, really excited. I'm also excited because so far, the stream's working so far. Oh, things moved a little bit, though. I did notice that. I'm like, why is there 2 bricks? Oh, and that's my own mouse on it. I really need to get this all dialed in so that once I set it, I can just forget it. But I, of course, in the pre-interview, like I touched things. I don't know who gave me this much power to touch things. Hey, notice, look, I put the FGBG over here. Did you notice I rearranged? It's not that big, but someone said last week that it was stabbing me in the mouth the entire time. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll just move it. How are you guys? I hope you've had a really great week. I'm going to try to talk closer to this microphone this week because I was silent for the majority of last week. Thanks for being here. This is a Geek Out Sesh. We do this each and every Monday, except for the ones that we don't. And we geek out with amazing guests, whether it's cosplayers, gamers, artists, authors, or tonight, an actual real-life witch. And this witch is actually a good friend of mine, somebody that I've known for a very long time, and we got the possibility and opportunity to reconnect after, 13 years? So not too long ago, and we were really excited, and so as we got talking, we just learned more about like the things she's been up to. And I was like, ooh, you know what? Would you like to come on the internet and talk about it? So I'm really excited. I do want to say that tonight's topic, depending on where you stand in your own beliefs, it might challenge your beliefs. It might cause you to question. By no means are either of us telling anybody what to believe or what is right or what is wrong. Tonight, we were just really kind of using it as a platform to inform and educate about a culture that maybe you want to get into, or maybe you know nothing about and would like to learn more, or maybe just to kind of enlighten yourself a little more than you were yesterday. I know I'm going to be way more enlightened after tonight because I have genuine questions from a place of true curiosity, and I'm really excited to get into this. I made a list of questions, and we've been talking, and I'm like, I know that we're going to disregard all of those once we get started. So I'm pumped, but before we get into tonight's Geek Out Sesh, I gotta know, question of the day. What was your favorite Halloween costume growing up? You can answer in the chat, or you can comment below if you're watching this back or listening back afterwards on YouTube or podcast. But we've got some awesome people here live in the chat, which you can always join here live on Twitch during these Monday nights at 8:30 Eastern Standard. But we've got Zor Domain in the chat. What's up? Another high school buddy. What was and still is my fave. I went as Water Tunic from, I'm gonna sound really stupid, OOT. Correct me. What is it? What's OOT? What's that stand for? Every week I sound older on this stream. Ocarina of Time. Thank you. I'm like, I know it's Zelda. I know it's Zelda. Which one? Every Zelda game in existence just escaped me. That's why I'm here, is just to say stupid shit on the internet and let you blow me up in the comments. But you know what? Gotcha. It's engagement, so I'll take it. Dude, is that Bozer? Bro's looking sexy AF? Wow. Y'all better calm down. We got people that watch. They're going to come after you. But I think my first one, welcome in, Cool Whip. Greetings from England. Awesome. First time. Welcome. It's Geek Out Sesh. Thanks for being here. Hang out. Welcome. My favorite Halloween costume, I was torn. I was talking about it earlier today. I'm torn, and I think my dad actually made both of them. He is probably like a cosplayer in another universe, and he was just playing it out in real time with my childhood. One time he made me this head-to-toe gargoyle, but it was all made out of like really soft foam that he got at like the hardware store. It looked amazing. The only downside was he painted it with spray paint, so I was probably high by the end of the night. He did not spray it with me wearing it, mind you, just so you all know. A very happy, healthy childhood. My parents loved me. But those fumes don't go away out of that soft foam. But I looked amazing. And the other one had to be, I think he got inspiration from some, like, we didn't really have the internet so much back then, right? So we would find costumes we wanted to wear from, like, Oriental Trading or like one of those old magazines, and we'd look through them like, oh, that's cool, I want to do that. And so my dad's like, I can make that for you. And I was Dr. Frankenstein, except I looked more like Albert Einstein, but it looked like Frankenstein was carrying my body. So like my legs were Frankenstein's legs and my hands were my hands, but then we had fake hands holding me and fake legs like dangling his arms. And from my memory, I look so freaking cool. I haven't seen a picture of it in a really long time though. So I don't know. I feel like he was really successful. Oceana says, probably the Pink Ranger costume, or my brother and I both wore at different times my dad's old legit race car fire suit because he used to race trucks. Sick. Like, did it have burn marks on it? And how did you fit in it? As a child? I mean, I don't want to judge your dad for being that small if he's that small, but that's cool. Keep them coming because I want to know. We're geeking out all about Halloween. Halloween's my favorite. Because later this month, we're going to have another spooky guest where we get to hang out with the lead model maker of Wednesday, the hit Netflix TV show. Yep. So it happens when you send a DM and sometimes they say yes. So I'm super excited, both from like my scenic painting side and my geek side and my theater side. Like I'm all excited about all of it. And we've got some really cool things coming up too. I might just throw in a spooky gaming stream in there on a night that we don't have a guest. So keep coming back. If you're liking what you're seeing, then come over to our socials, hang out with us there. Find us in the Discord. You can find all the links using the commands here in Twitch. Go down below to the socials or just go to the Instagram. That gives you everything you need. But I'm excited to hang out with my personal friend and real life witch, my friend Jocelyn. We've known each other for a long time, even though there was a really while there that we kind of disconnected, not for any bad means, just life happens. And so life brought us back together, and I'm excited to have her back in my life. And especially tonight, geeking out over one of her passions and something that I know very little about, but hopefully we'll gain something a little bit more by the end of it. So please, everybody, welcome in my friend, the witch, Jocelyn. So first, I need you to answer the question of the day before we get into the deep dive about witchcraft. What was your favorite Halloween costume as a kid?
So I know this is gonna sound weird because it's kind of like a letdown story, but when I was a little kid, my parents didn't have a ton of money, and so my dad was like, "What do you want to be for Halloween?" And my sister was like, "I want to be a ghost." And for some reason, my little 3-year-old self was like, "A banana." And so I have no idea why.
Okay. It's a choice.
So my dad went out and to like Goodwill and got a little yellow pillowcase for me because I was adorable and tiny, and got a like tablecloth for my sister, cut out the eyes for her, got my costume, like drew all the lines on it, drew the little cabana chick on it, and we go out, and I'm excited because I'm a banana.
Yeah.
And this whole time, like every time, I was so excited too. Like I remember the excitement. Like to this day, I still remember the excitement.
Right.
And every door we went to, they were like, "Oh my God, look, it's 2 little ghosts." And the entire time was just like, "I'm a banana."
I'm a banana. Was it a yellow sheet?
Yeah, it was like a bright yellow pillowcase. Like, I don't really understand why people thought I was a ghost. I mean, but whatever. But like, I was in love with it. I was so excited. I was so thrilled.
Do you still have it?
No. But like, like my dad made that for me. And so it was, my dad went out of his way for, his kids who didn't have, when they didn't have a ton of money, and he like did the best banana he could make me, and I was in love with it, and everybody else was just, stupid.
You know what? You can't fix stupid.
Exactly. Like, what kind of ghost is yellow with lines?
Shout out to all the parents out there making their kids' costumes out of whatever they got. Just, you know what? Making their day in the end.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, clearly your dad had slightly more better craft skills than mine did.
Apparently, I don't know where he keeps them. He used to like draw things in like college. Like he showed me some pictures of hands holding a leaf. Like, Dad, that's like really good. And now he just sits on that skill. What a waste.
Yeah, my dad is like all the time, just like drawing on napkins and stuff. And I look over and I'm like, why are you Bob Rossing over here? Like, why don't you do something with that? He's like, oh, I'm just doodling. It's nothing.
No, just a doodle. It's like, I didn't even care about this. Whatever.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I spent 4 hours trying to draw something and just cried about it, but that's cool. Thanks.
Well, Jocelyn, I'm already getting a question in the chat, which I think we're going to answer in a little while. Is witchcraft related to tarot cards? I'm ignorant in both, but my ex claimed to be a witch, and her tarot cards reading of me was very gloomy, but I can't remember it like tragic, but necessary. So I think we're going to get into that later when potentially you give me my own tarot card reading.
Sounds good to me.
And let's see if I cry on stream.
Let's try not to make people cry on stream.
You know you get off on a don't lie.
I mean, you know, sometimes you got to get off on that power trip, but I don't want to make you cry on stream. That's mean.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. So let's jump into tonight's topic. And like I said, I am very, very ignorant, except for like the things that you have told me in passing, like leading up to the stream. So let's just start with, give us like surface level, what is witchcraft, at least in your form of it, in the practice of it? What even is it these days?
Okay, so the best way I can explain witchcraft is unexplained science. I know that's a hot take. It's a hot take.
Wait.
So in the beginning, I guess the best thing that you understand about witchcraft is that it is a form of manifestation. Manifestation is a type of prayer. It's a type of meditation. All of those things are unexplained science. How do we create these molecules so hot and vibrating so much in our minds that we literally shift reality? So I will not get into extreme detail on it, but when you start to get into it too much, you start talking about observation and how when you observe something you change it, and string theory and multiple universes and parallel universes. So it can get really complex very, very quickly. But at the end of the day, if you want to look at it from a very spiritual point of view and a little bit of a smaller scope, it's kind of like prayer on steroids, because you are, you're asking for guidance, you're asking for help, you're asking for assistance, you're asking for a certain outcome. And where most people just say, oh, whatever higher power you pray to, please give me this, please make it happen. You're literally like hyper focusing and like streamlining the process. You're giving out, favors, you're sacrificing things. And when I say things, I mean like you can sacrifice something as simple as like, here's a really choice piece of meat, or something like, here's some of my blood.
Not like animals or village children.
I personally do not believe or am comfortable with, well, I mean, I know animal sacrifice exists, so I say I can't, so saying I don't believe in it is wrong. That's incorrect. I don't perform animal sacrifice. That is not within my practice. That's not something I'm comfortable with doing. I don't think that there's anything that I need bad enough that I'm willing to sacrifice another living life form for. Mm-hmm. But there are people out there who they do that. They do it regularly in their own practice. That doesn't make it bad or evil or wrong. It's just not my cup of tea. And murder is wrong, so you should never kill a person.
Correct.
Sacrifice or not. Yeah, sacrifice or not, willingness or not, murder is bad.
So let's go back to that manifestation, because like you reminded me of something that I found in college. Have you heard of the book The Secret?
Oh yeah, I have the book. I have the DVD for the documentary.
Yeah, like I found it in college, and I kind of got low-key obsessed with it for a minute. Anybody that's not familiar with The Secret, it's basically this book that breaks down a little bit of what she just said, but it doesn't like put any witchcraft terms on it. It, like she said, it's like science in a way, where like you have it, like everything has a frequency, and you have a thought which has a frequency, and like frequencies attract, and so by thinking about what you want, you literally are drawing it closer to you. Is that kind of what you're talking about, or am I completely off base?
No, I mean it's the most simplistic of magic. It's the base of all magic. Because I mean, obviously, and it's the base of all prayer if you really want to break it down and think about it. Yeah. Because you're drawing something towards you, you're asking for something, you're manifesting it. I very early on, in my like practice of witchcraft, one of my friends showed me The Secret. She showed me the book. I watched the show, and I use some of those tips and tricks to this day. I have not had a bad parking spot in like 10 years.
So I'm glad that you are using your witchcraft for daily conveniences. This is good.
Oh my God, yes. What else is it there for? If I can manifest a good spot for parking, I'm not hurting anybody, and I'm making my day easier. It's not, it's fun.
So you just proved that you are a good witch.
I don't really like the idea of, something is specifically good or something is specifically bad, because it doesn't leave the moral gray area of it all. Mm-hmm. And the more you get into an individualistic practice, or, even group practicing, you have to start wondering, you have to figure out where your own personal morals lie versus where other people's morals lie versus where society morals lie. Because at the end of the day, what you're okay with doing, somebody else isn't. And what somebody else is okay with doing, you're really not okay with doing. And so the idea of specifically, oh, this is white magic, or oh, this is black magic, with the exception of a very few things, I'm really hard pressed to say good, bad. I'm just a person who likes a really good parking spot.
And what's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that.
So, to rewind the clock a little bit, how did you even get into magic? Or especially like witchcraft? Because like when I think about witchcraft, like the typical thing that I'm sure a lot of people think of is like satanic worship, Harry Potter, like a cauldron. Like, do you clean your cauldron daily, or do you leave it seasoned?
Actually, the only cauldron that I have is this little tiny cauldron about this big, and I use it to burn incense and collect the ashes of the incense to make black salt with.
Black salt?
Yeah, so
that's a thing?
Yes, it is
not
a thing
cook at all, so any spices, I'm like, wait, that's a thing?
So you should not eat black salt. Now there are different types of volcanic black salt that you can buy from a store and eat. But most like witchcraft made black salt you should not eat. It's not a cooking spice.
Oh. Okay. So I'm gonna go clear my pantry, right?
It is a so in witchcraft and practice, salt is a protective entity. You want to make a very strong circle if you're doing high magic, and sometimes just like a drawn circle is not enough, so you lay down salt. Historically speaking, salt keeps out different spirits, it keeps away evil entities, or it can, if you are into that, trap entities into a circle for your protection if you're doing stupid things.
Messing with the
So,
wrong entities.
yes, I will never ever support people who say that they want to call forth spirits from other sides of the line, or demons, or other things like that into this the universe, into this part of our existence. I think it's wrong, and I think it causes way more harm than good. And there is no knowledge that they can give you that would justify all of the harm that would more than likely come in the after effect.
Okay, so there's your PSA, kids.
Yes.
Don't leave tonight's discussion and start summoning spirits from the ether.
Yeah. That includes Ouija boards. I know a lot of people like to play with them and did play with them as children.
Right.
But they're a channel. You open them up, you open yourself up, and if you don't create a circle properly, if you don't close the channel properly, you just leave it open and anything can come through.
So what I'm hearing, like, honestly, it's interesting because I thought you were going to come on here and dispel like all these things that like are stereotypically witchcraft, like salt around you, Ouija boards. And here you're saying, nope, that's real. That's real. Take it seriously.
Yeah.
Don't mess.
I mean, like, some things are not real. Like, do I wish that I could just be like, oh, say 3 words and I have fire in my hand? Oh my God, yes. How cool would that be?
You can't do that?
Sadly, no. I could probably fake it pretty coolly.
Party trick. I thought we were going to take you out and impress everybody.
I know. Bummer. Just pack it up now, I guess.
Well, thanks for joining. Just kidding.
But there are some things that, like, you know, they're stereotypical for a reason.
Yeah.
How, you know, like, you know, oh, I can't tell you how many spooky podcasts I've listened to, or people I've talked to, or friends I've had interactions with, and they're like, yeah, when I was 15, I played Ouija board with my friends, and I had an entity follow me for the next 3 years. And you're like, yeah, no, that happens. You know, that's why we don't play with Ouija boards, children and adults.
Yeah, I found one on the side of the road once.
And don't pick it up. Don't touch it.
I did. I brought it. I touched it. I'm like, this is cool. I didn't really believe in it at the moment, and I'm like, this is like cool and fun. I didn't summon anything. I didn't do anything with it. All I did was bring it home. But
I'm just gonna say that just because you don't believe in something doesn't mean it doesn't.
I know. What's the proper way to dispose of it? Just to see if I did actually dispose of it correctly.
So since you don't know where it came from,
no,
probably a salt bath and fire.
Okay, I only did one of those.
You burned it?
I think I burned it, yeah.
Okay, I mean, you know, it's something.
It's something? Well, I could be haunted and cursed right now. Who knows?
Oh, no. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, it's, oh, this is good enough versus best practices.
Okay. Okay, good to know.
So I'm sure you were fine.
But I think you were answering the question how you first got into witchcraft. And while you're there, we have another question in the chat that is witchcraft purely feminine? Like we always do, like witchcraft wizards. I'm a witch, I'm a wizard. Is this something that's only for females?
No. So people use different monikers. It's whatever they like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it actually took a lot of years for me to be like, yeah, I think I just call myself a witch. Normally I tell people, oh, I'm spiritual, or oh, I'm pagan, or I don't believe in Abrahamic God. You know, just different things like that. It took a long time for me to be like, you know what, I'm going to own this. I am a witch, and I'm okay with being called that. So witch it's just whatever you want it to be. Some people like, you know, if you're a guy, some people like, they prefer warlock or wizard. I'm just like, whatever.
But like within the community, it's accepted just to like choose one, or is it like, oh, that guy calls himself a wizard, but we all know he's a witch?
So it really just depends on which community, it all just depends on which community you're involved in. Some communities are very strict. They're almost their own religion. Some are very lackadaisical. Some have all of the rules. Some have none of the rules. It's kind of like pick your own adventure. So, you know, I mean, I guess for me, I just say everybody's a witch. And then some people are like, you know, some people are like, oh, I'm a warlock. You're like, okay.
Okay.
Um,
Is it an eye roll moment? I just want to know, once I become a witch, I want to know the appropriate response.
I mean, for me it is. I'm sure for other people it's not.
Okay.
But I've also met people who are like, I'm a first level pagan goddess, and you're like, okay, or priestess or priest, and you're like, dude, whatever. I'm pretty chill about it.
There are levels to this? Can you level up?
So some people seem to believe you can. I personally think that you just learn and grow, just like any other spiritual journey.
It sounds like
I don't.
leveling up. That's what that sounds like.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna. I mean, but like, how do you measure that level? How do you figure out where you're supposed to be at? I'm not connected to any pagan church. I'm not connected currently with any. Oh no, that's not quite true. I'm mostly not connected with anybody else who practices witchcraft. So I used to kind of be in a coven. It was just me and my friends. And we did magic together. Technically, I guess you can have a covenant too, because me and one of my friends do magic together. But covens either become churches really quickly or the pagan equivalent of churches.
Yeah, I can imagine. Anytime a group of people come together to do anything somewhat spiritual, it's going to probably take a life on its own.
It does, especially the more people you get involved in it. So normally you have like one or two people, or at least this is my experience. Just my experience. You have like one or two people that you practice with on any sort of regular basis. And then you have like outside people, friends of friends, family members who are all like, hey, I heard you do stuff. And it's kind of like this
got
weird,
the goods.
Yeah, it's like, why do I suddenly feel like I'm a spiritual drug dealer? I don't know.
Need you to hook me up. I need a good parking spot.
So not for parking spots, because that's something anybody can do. I've had people reach out to me for good luck charms, for, how to word your house properly, how to cleanse your house properly. Hey, can I get a tarot card reading? Up to, hey, there's this guy bothering me and I don't know how to get rid of him. And so,
and that's when you chop him up and put him into potions, and now you have him for ingredients for the future, right?
No, remember, murder's bad.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
No, that would be more of like a cord cutting spell. So that's something that you would do either with a pair of scissors or with 2 candles. Would you like more details on that?
I don't even know. I have so many questions that want to go 1,000 different directions. And
we still haven't answered the very first question you asked.
I don't think we have. How did you get into witchcraft?
Okay, so do you want to know how I ended up at witchcraft, or do you want to know how I ended, or how I here I am and then I started witchcraft and this is why?
Well, I'm thinking of somebody that's watching this, and I wouldn't have a clue other than through you on how to what's the safe, appropriate, right way? I don't know, is it right, but a safe, appropriate way to get into it that doesn't involve just going to the library to the occult section.
I probably would never recommend going to at least our local library for the occult section. I've seen it. Yeah, you have to go to the main public library. It's been quite a few years since I've been there, and those books are not helpful.
It's down in the basement, in the dusty section.
It's actually on the if it's still in the same place, it's on the top, and it's in the far back farthest corner, and it's 4 books, and
that's all you need.
One of them, no. And one of them literally has some guy on there who was I was on a missionary and this is what they told me paganism was. And you're okay. Cool story, bro.
How did you get into it, if not for the occult section of the library?
So I was 18, working at a gas station on a toll road, and I one of my coworkers met one of my coworkers, and she invited me to church, and I was like, I'm good, but thanks.
I'm set.
And she's like, oh, no, no, no. She's like, it's not a Christian church. And I'm like, there are other churches? And she's like, yeah. And so she, explained to me that it was a pagan church and that they, that they didn't believe in Abraham God and that they performed magic. And I was like, well, this is what I've been looking for the last 5 years. So, golly gee whiz, sign me up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started going.
And like when you went to this pagan church, like even for like Christian churches, right? There are like denominations.
Yeah.
But like in the pagan church, are there similar kinds of things, or is it just kind of one universal concept?
Oh, that's adorable. So you have different types of practice. So you have people who practice voodoo, Santeria. You have people who practice, all three of those are separate. You have people who practice earth magic, people who practice air magic, people who practice what they believe to be satanic magic, white magic, chaos magic, high magic. You have people who practice Nordic blind magic, Italian blind magic, Hispanic magic, being brujas and brujos. You have people who practice, with Greek or Roman gods, people who practice with, Irish, like old Irish gods.
Mm-hmm.
So, Celtic gods. So there's just a lot of different groups that you can, specialties that you can kind of go into. Some of them are more strict based in their practices and teachings and are more of a religion. Others are more spiritualistic and are a little bit more free flowing with how you interact with them.
And so what would, if you had to ascribe to any one of those, like, do you have something that you kind of stick to?
I do not. I was taught magic in a very interesting way that I've been learning and finding out. And I was taught pretty much how to basically across the board utilize what I want. So it's kind of like a figure out what I like and take it type thing, which probably may not be like the greatest. But
you take what you want in this world kind of mindset with behind this magic, the way you were taught.
So pretty much what it is that with few exceptions of specific types of magic that I personally choose not to interact with, not because of any particular moralistic reason, but because they're more of a religion, and so I have a higher respect for their practices and the way that they utilize their gods and entities. Pretty much I was taught how to create my own magic. I was taught how to create my own rituals, how to create my own spells. And so by being able to do that, I can find different things from different practices, different gods and things like that. And I can morph them into what I need them to be.
Does that have a name? Or it doesn't fit into anything?
Some people call it wordsmithing or spellsmithing. So I, every time I interact with people, and it turns out that I'm continuously teaching new people when I meet them, because most people don't know how to create their own spells or their own rituals. And so that's something that I actually share with the community that I've built. And the people that I've interacted with is I teach them how to do their own magic like I do. And so it gives them the freedom that I have. And most of the time you talk to people and they're like, oh, well, I found this spell on the internet, or I found this spell in a book. And you read through it and you're like, this is missing major components. Because especially some of the older schooled witches and wizards and warlocks that write books, they write them to make money, but they also know that there's certain people who get a hold of these things that they shouldn't get a hold of. And so in order to protect them and those around them, they leave out elements that if you don't know what to look for, you don't know that it's a myth. So it's not as powerful or as potent, or it might not even work. And my teacher made sure that I knew how to create my own spells, so I never had to rely on somebody else's incomplete books.
So that's why you found more success in this, it sounds like, because it's not like you were self-taught or just like looked for the resources, but you had someone there that already knew what they were doing and that guided you through?
Yes. So I had a mentor for about the first 2 years of my practicing, and she was actually a mystic holy woman from New Orleans.
Oh, okay. That doesn't sound like a joke.
No, she was actually very well known in the magical area in New Orleans, and she was very highly respected. She moved up here after Hurricane Katrina, and I would still be literally practicing with her to this day if she hadn't passed away.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that you lost your mentor in that way.
Thank you. It's been long enough that I remember her very fondly, and I love her very deeply still. And it's not anything that, like, it doesn't hurt like that.
Yeah. But it's cool that you're carrying on the legacy of everything that she taught you. And it sounds like you are finding ways to pass that knowledge on.
Yeah, I do try. I'm very selective with who I interact with magically, who I teach magic to. And that's just because discernment is important.
It seems wise. And that's the thing I keep coming back to is, from what you said, it sounds so easy to do things incorrectly and like be missing something and mess it up. But it's not like baking a cake where if you are missing an ingredient or mess it up, that you just have a bad cake. It sounds like this could be messing with some like really lifelong consequences depending on what you get attached to you.
Exactly. So that's the one thing that I think a lot of people don't understand about it when they start interacting with it, is what you're doing has consequences. Once something is created, once the energy is created, just like in science, it cannot be uncreated. It can be scattered, it can be redirected, or it comes back to you. So, I mean, live and learn. That whole thing, be careful what you ask for because you might just get it. So, a really early on lesson that I learned in magic is don't ask for anything out of extreme desperation, because you will ask for it, and because you will ask for something that you probably need. So, and a good example of this is I was in a pretty bad situation, and in all reality, I needed to get out of it. But the spell that I didn't just get me out of the situation, it completely and totally deconstructed my life. I lost my job, I lost my friends, I lost the trust of my family, and I ended up in Ohio living with a relative for an entire summer because that's how far away I got sent in order to get better. And when I came back home, I had to get a new car because too many people recognized my vehicle. So it was unsafe for me to drive. I ended up getting a job at the same place that my dad worked at so he could drive me to and from work every day. So my parents trusted me enough to know that I was going to and from work. And I had to change my phone number, and I was not allowed to interact with anybody from my previously that I'd been interacting with before I came back. And so I escaped the situation, but it took me years to rebuild my life, and it took me years to rebuild the trust with my own family. And so, I got exactly what I asked for. And if I would have stopped, thought about it, and been smarter about my decisions, not only in my own personal life, but in the spell that I was using to create it to fix my life, I could have really gotten out way better with way more success and way less damage to myself and the others around me.
So to the people that like heard that and are thinking, like that wasn't the spell, you just like probably made bad decisions or you had some tough luck. Like, how do you, as the spellcaster, find it where the line is, or is there no line? Like, how do you keep those things balanced in your mind so that, I don't know, you don't go on the crazy train thinking that everything that's happening to you is just because of the spell? Or is it?
So, it just kind of depends, because in that moment, I literally asked I asked to get out. I didn't care how I literally said, I don't care how it happens. I don't care what happens. If it's either I get out with them or I get out by myself. And that's what happened. It was so quick. It was so quick. So
Like
it was
everything just toppled over.
Yeah.
Immediately.
So it was
Interesting.
it was a fire spell, and I put it in a jar and lit it on fire, and it took off so hard, so fast, because there's so much desperation inside of me that I couldn't control it and I couldn't get it to stop. I set it outside in the pouring rain, and it should have almost immediately been extinguished, and instead it burned completely out. It burned itself out. It didn't ground out.
It was getting rained on and it didn't stop the fire.
Pouring down rain.
Okay, that's interesting.
I walked outside and set it down, and by the time I set it down, I was soaking wet.
Yeah.
And this fire is still burning, and it burned everything in that jar out. There was nothing left.
So then, you got what you wanted.
Oh yeah,
quite.
I got what I asked for.
Got what you asked
I got
for.
what I asked for.
There you go. Like, help me understand what forces gave you what you asked for.
So because this has been years ago. So at that point in time, it was just a cry to the universe. So the universe gave me what I asked for. And so, you could argue it was string theory. It was, observation. It was extreme manifestation. I was so desperate. It was such a wild, hard cry that the universe just said, okay, there, it's yours. And it wasn't the nicest, it wasn't the kindest, it wasn't the gentlest, it wasn't in any way, shape, or form what anybody would really want out of a spell, but it was exactly what I asked for.
Mm-hmm.
I got out of the situation. I got away from those people. I was able to pretty much restart my entire life. It was just in a very violent and very disruptive way.
Now, was that a spell that you kind of smithed together on your own at that moment, or it was one that you...
Yeah, no. So spell prep is important. And that was desperation. That was me grabbing what I had on hand, slapsticking it together in that moment.
Oh, with wrong components and stuff?
Just doing it. So nowadays, if I spellsmith, if I create a spell, it's honestly it's at least a month-long process, if not more.
Of just like prepping the ingredients and making sure that you have exactly the right components that you need.
So it starts out with pretty much deciding what spell I'm doing, how I want to do the spell, what components goes into it, what is the true outcome that I'm looking for. So, it's a lot of writing, it's a lot of note taking, it's research. I still do research.
Because knowing you, and you're a fantastic writer. She's a fantastic writer, by the way, y'all. Check out her stuff.
It's on my page.
Jocelyn, you'll see some of her writing. But for you, I like kind of even deciding on what the true outcome you're seeking. I'm sure you have pages and pages and pages of really working that out on paper first.
Oh yeah. So I sent you a couple of pictures. And the two pictures that you posted with the page showing that we were what we were doing.
Yeah.
That was a spell of creation. That's what abracadabra means.
By the way, I was taken aback. I was both excited and had a lot of questions. Literally, abracadabra is a real spell word?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
It's literally
Love it.
I create as I speak. It is one of the most powerful and most magical words in existence.
And we're just slinging it around willy-nilly.
We just sling it around willy-nilly because Aladdin told us to, because somebody made a joke out of it,
Yeah.
and we let it become a joke.
Or
But
a
no,
Pokemon.
it is one of the most powerful words you can use.
What language
spell
is
work
it?
in existence. It's hold on. I think it's Hebrew. It's either Hebrew or Aramaic.
Somebody in the chat will correct us, I'm sure.
I'm sure. I'm blanking right now. You asked the question, and
I know.
like literally, I heard it getting ready to be asked. I'm like, I'm not gonna remember this the moment he asks it.
Because you manifest it. Why would you
Yeah.
think that? Should have
Panic.
thought I'm gonna know what he's gonna ask, and I'm gonna have the answer.
Just sheer panic. It's fine.
Okay, so you were talking through spell prep. So you first think about the outcome and you work it out, and then
Yeah.
what?
And then you just kind of go on from there. So what I was gonna say is that the pictures that I sent you,
Yeah.
that spell was a 2-month-long process of creation. It was designing. I mean, that design of that cloth that you saw, the picture that I sent, I planned that out, and then I literally like hand sewed that. Like I made that.
Okay, 'cause there was one that was like a hand drawing.
Yeah, that
on,
was
like,
the original
line
hand drawing.
paper, and then another one with like the different candles around it.
Yeah,
the table.
and that table, and the one on the table.
Uh-huh.
I literally made that. I embroidered that whole thing.
Was that part of the spell to embroider it yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I mean, if it's the intention you put into it, the more intention you put into it, the more powerful and potent it's going to be.
Okay.
So it started out kind of like, what do I want? What is happening? What am I trying to accomplish? And then I kind of start writing out like, what would I like to have happen? What would I like to accomplish? And then it's how do I make that happen? What are the best components? What are the best colors to use? When's the best date to do it? Should I use a full moon, new moon? What kind of herbs do I use? What kind of, is this a slow burning spell? So I'm going to plant it into the ground because it's going to grow. Am I going to light this thing on fire so I can get it as quickly as possible? Is it something that needs to be carried away from me? Do I need to release it into the water? And then, what gods and goddesses do I want to interact with? What power source am I calling on? Do I need somebody else to do this spell with me, or can I do it by myself? Do I want somebody to do the spell with me, or would I prefer to do it myself? What exactly am I calling when I'm going to call the quarters? So the quarters are the points of the compass, north, south, east, and west, normally related to the 4 elements. But there are other things that you can call at the same time. You can call gods and goddesses. You can call angels. You can call upon other different types of power, and they're associated with different elements and different points of the compass. So it just keeps going and going and going. How am I going to do the spell? Am I needing to repeat it multiple times? And if I repeat it multiple times, is it multiple times in one day, multiple times in one setting? Do I need to do this whole spell multiple times over the course of multiple weeks? Is it a one-time spell, or do I need to do this in 3 separate parts? So there's just so much that goes into it.
And all those answers that you decide on, like, that's just, what the correct answer is just based on your previous knowledge and training and education. Or is
not
it like
always.
a gut feeling?
Sometimes it's knowledge, sometimes it's a gut feeling, sometimes it's things that I look up.
On
so
TikTok.
Never on TikTok. Please never find your information about witchcraft on TikTok.
Well, where do you go?
So I have some books, and by some I mean a lot. So I have some trusted resources. I have just written down information for myself, and then there is always Pinterest. I know that sounds funny. I know
Pinterest
Pinterest
is
sounds
okay,
funny
but TikTok
Not-
is not.
because you have to. Okay, so what you need to do is when you don't know an answer, you have to verify it with 3 sources, 3 reliable sources. So there's like 4 people on Pinterest that I follow that I trust as one of my 3 verified resources.
What if they know each other? Does that count as all 3 at once?
No. And so mostly what I use Pinterest for is like looking up like meanings of rocks and like herbs, because I don't want to walk into my bedroom and dig out my book that tells me the information.
So it's just quicker.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just me being lazy. That's because, but I also know that 90% of the time, if I just read what it is, I know if it's accurate or not, because I have the knowledge. I just can't like
Remember.
it's in there.
Yeah.
I just can't remember it. Yeah. And so if I look it up, I can be like, no, that's not right. Or be like, yeah, I knew. That's right.
Okay. So Pinterest is okay. And I'm sure if people go to your social, maybe they could pick up a couple tips. Or are you comfortable, like, if somebody has a question about this? Like, you said that if someone's wanting to get into this, really the universe will present them usually a person. Like, are you that person?
I don't know. I might be. So I know this sounds bad, but it really just depends on the person. It really
That doesn't sound
depends
bad.
on the moment.
No, that doesn't sound bad at all.
It depends on vibes. It depends on my mood. Because there's some days
That's very human answer.
Yeah. I've had people reach out to me before and be like, I heard you do spell work. And I'm like, I think you heard wrong. And just gut instinct replied like that.
That's how all my text messages are going to start to you, by the way.
So I heard you do magic.
I heard you do, man. You got the goods. But your vibe check is off, so you're like, nah.
Yeah. So you just gotta play it by ear. Unfortunately, just like there's, bad people and everything, there's bad people in spells and witchcraft. And they will teach you the wrong things. They will lead you astray. They will tell you that they want a spell for one thing, and it's not what they actually want. And so for them to then try to practice it and manifest it, it can go extremely wrong. And if you're a part of that, then, there's karmic imbalance that occurs. And there can be like I said, there can be bad things that happen. There can be really bad consequences to improper practice. And there can be really bad, outcomes for people who do things like curse people. I'm not going to teach you how to curse somebody. I know how to. I'm just not going to teach you how to do it.
Yeah.
I also know how to protect myself from curses, and that's why I know how, because you can't protect yourself from something that you don't know how to do.
Sure.
But, people come on there and they're like, oh, my boyfriend's awful and he cheated on me and I want to curse him. And I'm like, well, I'm not that person. I'm not going to teach you how to do that. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. I'm not even going to point you in the direction, because you know what? Cheating happens and that sucks. And that's not a reason to curse somebody. Magic, with the exception of parking spots, is not an everyday thing. It's one of the things that you don't pray for everything. You're not going to ask for everything. You're not going to manifest everything. Some things aren't meant for you. And, you can't, I don't believe in messing with people's will. I don't believe with messing with people's destinies. Like that's not what we're here for. That's not what I'm here for. That's not what I'm going to help you with.
So how often do you, other than, manifesting great parking spots every day, how often are you doing like spell work?
I probably do. So, I guess that's a kind of a hard question to answer, because some of my friends, and sometimes I also believe this, that anytime I am writing, because of how potent my words are and how well I craft my words, that anytime I write poetry, anytime I write a story, I am in some way doing spelling. I'm doing spellcraft. If you want to ask, like, how often am I making circles and lighting candles and calling to entities? I honestly, it probably averages out to about once a quarter.
Oh, okay.
um, just because, it takes so long to make a spell.
Hmm.
Sometimes it takes a while to get somebody to, to get people together, to get all the ingredients, to plan it out. The last spell I did, honestly, it's still currently active. It's still currently working. I still periodically boost it. And so, is the boosting it one spell, or is it, an additional spell to what I just did? It really just depends on what your count, how you count is. I know that sounds weird. Um, but some people would
No, that
count
makes
that only
sense.
as one spell. Other people would say, oh, every single time you're doing this, you're doing a new spell. Well, then that drastically increases the amount of spelling that I do.
Yeah. Well, I guess I was thinking from a complete outsider. I would think anytime that you are intentionally manifesting something that might involve components, or maybe not even involving components, but like that kind of thing, I would say that counts towards, in my mind, at least the number that I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's people out there listening or learning about this, and they're thinking this either A, sounds like a lot of work, or it's like going to take over your entire life, and that's all you're doing, just sitting in your wood hut in the middle of the forest over your cauldron. But are you saying, like, is this for you? Is it easy to kind of fold these things into your life, or do you find that you have to completely shut out pieces of it in order to make time for this kind of thing?
So it really depends. Sometimes life is crazy and you got to block out the noise.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm a more heavy hitting practitioner than some other people. Like my sister, she dabbles, and her practice is I cleanse my house every month. I reward stuff. Um, she puts up the wards to protect her space, and she makes pretty jewelry that makes you feel good. Like that's her practice, and it's amazing, and it's sweet, and it's gentle, and it is nothing like what I do. I
Okay.
have other friends who make, they make spell bags. They make, you know, candles that help you kind of hyper focus your manifestation, your prayer. And that's their practice. And so there's no really right or wrong answer to it. It's whatever level you feel comfortable with. I've been doing this since I was 18. This has been a 16-year-long journey for me. Where I'm at versus where other people are at, it's completely different. The spells that I do, I couldn't even dream of doing when I first started. And some spells I would never teach anybody first starting out how to do.
Right.
Because what I can do is vastly different than what other people can do. My capabilities are greater because of how long I've been practicing.
Now, is that something that, okay, not to put us back on levels, but you are a more powerful witch than when you started.
Yes.
Is that solely because of the experience practice, or were you born a more powerful witch?
I think it's both and. The more it's just like any muscle. The more you use it, the better you get with it, the more strength it has.
Yeah.
And I've always been attracted to, the spiritual side, the metaphysical side. I tell people that I don't have faith, I have knowing. And what I mean by that is I remember being a little kid talking to things bigger than myself, and we weren't a religious household. God didn't exist in my mind when I was doing this. So, at 2-3 years old, I was talking to spirits. I was talking to entities bigger, greater than myself. And so I've never had any issues in believing because I already know. So for me, anytime I ask the universe for a sign, I get it. And I don't know if that's just me being really intuitive. I don't know if that's me always have been so open to receiving, or if I was born more powerful than other people. I can't answer that question. I don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
What the end of the day comes down to is I know it works because I know. I don't believe it works. I know it works. I don't have faith. I have knowing.
Interesting. Okay, so for, hypothetically, not me, someone's listening to this is like, I want something I can start with right now. Like, are there ways responsibly and safely that people can like dip their toe in it and see without like a lot of training? Like, give us the first level grade 1 spell that we can all practice tomorrow.
Okay, so I'll give you 2, depending on which one you want to use. So the first one, literally, manifesting parking spots or green lights. So you cannot think, no reds, or, oh God, I hope I get a good spot. No. If you're thinking about green lights, take a route that you go every day.
Okay.
And just green lights. The light's going to be green. It's going to be green. The light's going to be green. It may take a day or two, but those lights are going to start turning green. Even at those stoplights that the light should not be green at, like we all know that there's that one light that if you make it through, you're going to stop at the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Green light.
You're going to start trains too? Trains?
It can, yeah.
Okay.
But you just start noticing you're going to hit more and more and more green lights. And it's not this whole thing of like, oh, you're only hitting green lights because you've noticed them more. No, you're going to be like, I hit these 3 green lights every day. And then about 75% of the time or more, you're going to start hitting all 3 of those lights green. And I think the good part.
When you're thinking this, like, what is there any sort of like mental thing that we also have to do other than like we really got to believe it, right?
Yeah, you've got to see the green light
and know that it's already true.
Yeah, originally I said it out loud. Now I don't even have to say it. I barely even have to think it. It's just the lights are going to be green. Why? Because they're going to be green. I know they are because I said they are. But originally it was like, these lights are going to be green. The light's going to be green. I mean, and that's what I would say the whole time, start to finish. Like, I'd get in my car and I'd reverse it and I'd start driving. I'd be like, lights are going to be green. All of my lights are going to be green. All of the lights are going to be green. And I started hitting all green lights. There's been times where I've literally made someplace in half the time because I said I was going to get all green lights and I did.
And have you ever run into a red light since?
Oh, yeah, I still sometimes. Yes, red lights happen. But I run into way more green lights than I do red lights.
Interesting.
And it's the same way with the parking spot. Like, I know where I want to park. Man, I know within like the first like 3 or 4 rows, this close enough to this place that I'm gonna get a good parking spot. It's just gonna happen. And I do. Every once in a while, I may have to circle the block once. I think the most I've ever had to do is circle twice, and I get a good parking spot every time.
And like to the non-believers or skeptics, they might say, well, that's just being optimistic. What's the difference?
Because you can't tell me that optimism gets me a good parking spot every single time for the last 10 years. It is scientifically impossible.
Every time? You never get a bad parking spot?
Never gotten a bad parking spot in 10 years. Now, I've had somebody else drive me and they've gotten a bad spot. But if I am driving, I don't get bad parking spots.
Okay.
It just doesn't happen.
So tomorrow we can all try manifesting all green lights. Now,
or parking.
Now,
I mean, you can just try both.
Say this out loud, that it doesn't magically turn what should be a red light in a green light, and all of a sudden you've got traffic coming both directions.
Correct. That is not what happens.
Okay. Just making sure that we're not all going to be crashing into each other tomorrow when we all try this.
No.
Okay.
Another thing that you can do is it's a simple meditation, and it's a candle meditation. You light a candle and you stare at it and you start to say, I am. I am. I am. I am. It is, historically speaking, it's an acclamation. It's a declaration of who are you? I am. I am me. And
you don't need any other words other than I am.
No, I am. Because back in the day, if you stood up and you declared I am, you declared yourself with divinity. So it is acknowledging the divine within you. Interesting fact. I know we're going to toe dip a little bit sideways here, but that's why in the Bible, everybody freaked out when Jesus stood up and said, I am. Because it was him declaring himself as God.
That's where my brain went, was
Yeah. So you stare at the candle, I am. And as you stare at that candle, you'll start to see that the flames are going to do some weird things. So the flame will either shoot up very, very high, the candle will burn very quickly, or the flame will start to jump off the candle wick.
Okay, I'm trying this tonight. Now, you're not like this close to the candle when you're saying I am, right?
No, you can be. You just have to be like, you have to be in a place where you can focus on it, and that's all you're focusing on.
It's for anybody that thought that you were whispering at a candle 2 inches away and like, look, it jumped.
No, it'll jump straight up into the air.
Sick. Okay. There you go. We can all be witches tomorrow, you guys.
We're already witches. You just have to know how to use it.
Oh, I like that. Because there's nothing unsafe or irresponsible from starting with those 2 spells.
I mean, don't put your candle under something that's flammable.
Okay. I was thinking more from occult reasons, but fire safety is also very important.
Yeah. Please practice safe magic. Fire burns down houses.
It does.
Yes.
Can you manifest it not to burn down your house?
I mean, you could just practice safety first.
So there's brains in this. Okay, I'm starting to see where the line is at.
Yes.
So how does tarot work in all of this?
So tarot is really interesting because tarot cards, tarot readings, tarot decks actually appeared all over the world at the exact same time across cultures that did not interact with each other. It's the same thing with runes, and they are used as a form of divination. So it is kind of I say that it's like a funnel. So here's all the information that the universe holds that you have access to.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's so much noise. And then somebody asks a question and the cards just funnel the answer down into like digestible form.
Okay. And what classification of magic would tarot fall into, if it does?
So if it is a type of magic, which, if you pick up a book and you start memorizing the deck and what the basic meanings of them are in certain positions, technically anybody can read them.
Yeah.
It's just whether you read them with, I don't want to be like a jerk about this. There's a difference between I'm reading from a book and I'm getting a reading. Like I said, anybody can memorize what something means in a certain position, in a certain layout, but can you pick up the cards and tell you what they're saying? And that
it's like book smart versus street smart or magic smart.
Yeah.
Verse smart.
And so like for me, if you want to know what the King of Cups means, I can't tell you. I can only tell you what it means in the reading that I'm giving in that moment if it comes up. I use them as a form, more of like an aid, to kind of like help me tell a better story of what the universe is already saying to me. So it's a form of divination. It's a form of foreshadowing, because you can easily change what the cards say by changing your direction. So some people will tell you, oh, this is the future. It's set in stone. The future is never set in stone. I could say, hey, in this tarot card reading, it says that you're going to go on a self-destructive path because you smoke too many cigarettes and you develop lung cancer. But if you stop smoking cigarettes today, who's to say that you're ever going to get lung cancer?
Sure.
And that's a
Okay.
really dark, morbid thing to say, but I just ran with it. Sorry, guys.
That's just how our brain works.
Sometimes.
Well, should we give it a go live here on the internet and see how it goes?
Yeah. It's probably gonna run a couple minutes over if everybody's okay with that, though.
I'm fine.
Because I'm just okay. I was just looking at the time, so I just want to be time conscious.
Yeah, that's one question I forgot to ask in the beginning was how long do tarot card readings take? Or should take?
I've done a tarot card reading in 5 minutes. I've done a tarot card reading in 2 hours.
Okay, we probably have closer to the first option. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I'm gonna hold myself accountable to everybody. I'm gonna write down my question here on this card, and maybe I'll keep my hands up at my head the whole time. So I'm not gonna write anything else. But then I'm gonna reveal my question at the end of the reading. Is that good practice?
So you can do that. Things sometimes can get wonky if you do that.
Oh, really? The magic
So-
doesn't quite work?
No, so it can work, but sometimes the answers seem very vague and very generalized. Or it can go in a very different path because just because you write down a question doesn't mean that's the question you're thinking of when
Oh.
I start to do it. And so,
You might change your question in your mind, but not on paper.
it can sometimes
Okay.
happen. So I'm perfectly okay with you not asking your question out loud. I'm perfectly okay with you revealing it at the end. That's fine. I understand why you want to do it. I just want to pre-warn you. So if it goes sideways and it's not actually the question you asked, you still have to tell me if it's accurate or not.
Okay. So that I guess the way to fight that is just to really focus on that intention and before I write it down, really know that's what I'm wanting to know.
Exactly.
Okay. What's the appropriate way to kind of structure a question when sitting down for a tarot card reading?
So yes and no questions are more for a pendulum. So avoid yes or no questions. Asking for specific dates, that's not how the universe works. The dates, time, money, human constructs, not universal. So you can say, when exactly am I going to marry the love of my life? And I can give you a vague answer of within the next 3 years, probably if you keep on the same path.
Sure.
But that's also just a really basic generic answer because, if you're in love with somebody, if the more quickly you propose to them, the more quickly you'll get married,
Right. So what are the kinds of questions that people, I guess it's all very personal to everybody, but what I'm trying to do is kind of lower the obstacles and make it a little more accessible to someone that might be hesitant or has never tried and has no idea what they would be walking into.
So it's always you can ask any question you want. If you don't know exactly what you're doing or if you're unsure of the practice, you can just ask, where am I at right now? And so it just kind of gives you a general overview of how you're seeing yourself, how you're seeing your life. Or people ask very specific questions about very specific moments and instances. People have asked for career advice. I gave a tarot card reading to a very sad woman once who wanted to know if her child was at peace because he'd passed away. And so, there's all different kinds of readings that you give people. And it dictates how long they are. It dictates how many cards you pull. So there's so much to it, but honestly, you can ask a really basic question. A lot of people like the question of, what am I missing? So, kind of if you feel like you're missing something in your life, or if you feel like there's just something that you're just maybe stuck on, it's a good question to ask. Where am I at right now? Or, a more specific question. It just kind of depends on where you want to go with it.
Okay. I have my question. I wrote it down.
All right.
Now what?
Are you focusing on it?
Okay.
And tell me when to stop shuffling.
Okay. Stop.
Okay. Right hand or left hand?
Right.
Top or bottom?
Bottom.
Okay.
So we can't quite see what your hands are doing. So if you want to...
Yeah, so right now I'm just laying out some basic cards and I will show them to you here in a moment.
Okay.
So, and every deck looks different. This is a deck I've had for a long time. It is not in print anymore. Sorry, y'all. You'd have to go searching for it on eBay.
Is it true that you shouldn't get your own tarot deck, that it should like be gifted to you or kind of cross your path?
No, I have purchased so many tarot cards. It's unreal. It's an unhealthy.
There's been so
It's
many times
unhealthy.
I almost bought a deck and I'm like, no, I'm not supposed to. I have to wait until it comes to me.
Yeah, no.
I could have
super-
bought that. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well now I
So
know.
there's like 3 things I spend way too much money on: tarot decks, the toppers to my glasses, and Audible books. Like from
I think tarot cards, like some of them are so beautifully drawn. I'm like, I just appreciate the art, even though I don't know what I would do. with
yeah.
it.
No, they're so beautiful. I have owned so many decks. I've gotten rid of so many decks. No, you can purchase your own. So your first card that you got is the 5 of Discs. It says worry on it. So pretty much something's weighing really heavily on you right now. And it's really starting to kind of cause you to like really question yourself. And that's kind of where we're getting right here, is that you have a lot of fear from it. Some fear of judgment, some fear. Are we getting a little too personal? Are we
No,
getting
no,
too
no, it's
personal?
good. No. So far, so good.
Yeah. So it's like you're seeking justice within yourself, and from outside of others, instead of just accepting that judgment's going to occur no matter what you do, no matter what decisions you make. Somebody's always going to judge you. Somebody is always going to question you and your motives because they don't live your life. And if you just start taking the first step of acceptance of yourself, acceptance of the situation, enjoyment in the moment, you're just going to be happy. You're just going to have so much success and so much enjoyment. And it's really you holding yourself back.
I would say, yeah, that feels pretty accurate.
Well, considering you started whimpering at the beginning, I would have argued if you said otherwise.
Bullshit. Didn't hit it at all. Way off. No, will it ruin it if I tell you my question?
No, not at all. It actually could probably give you better information if I knew your question.
Okay, so my question is, see if it focuses.
Oh,
It's backwards. Where is the channel, and I specific FGBG at right now?
okay. Yeah. So you're thinking too much. You're thinking too hard on it. You're focusing on like the wrong things. And like you just gotta let it flow. You just gotta like let it go where it's going. If it's taking the form of something else, you've just gotta like ride the wind.
Yeah, because I do find, like, especially we've got a new space, I've got all this like new setup, and I'm constantly worrying, like, is it working? Like, it felt like it worked a long time ago when I was less stressed about it, but it seemed to work
Stress,
better then.
anxiety, and worry will just like, I mean, it's just like any other kind of electronic pulse. If you're putting those out there, you're like, you're messing with your own electronics with your emotional instability.
That's why the stream crashed tonight. I was
That is
worried.
why
I was manifesting, don't crash,
Yeah.
don't crash, instead of,
yeah.
it's not going to
Instead
crash.
of No.
It's
No. See, everything's going to be fine. That's the thing with
Everything's gonna be fine.
manifestation, is that even if you focus on the don't, the universe doesn't hear don't.
Oh,
It's not don't crash, don't crash, don't crash. All it's hearing is crash. Okay. So if you're saying, success, huge, huge streaming numbers, people are just going to start flowing in. Everything's going to run smoothly. Everything's going to be great. That's what's going to happen. Positivity is a higher vibration level than like worry or concern. And so you're like, when you are freaking out and you are filled with that worry and self-doubt, your vibration level lowers and it puts out a lower pulse. If you're higher, you put out a higher pulse. And so that's why you attract like-minded things. So when everything's bad and horrible and awful, that's why everything's bad, horrible, and awful. And it keeps being bad, horrible, and awful.
Because sucked it to me.
Yes.
Hey. No, I remember when I first found that book, The Secret, and I was obsessed. And I really did kind of enjoy that journey of intentionally focusing on the things that I wanted, even to like an obnoxious level to like my friends. Like to a witch, probably be like, no, that was accurate. That's correct. Sound.
Like you're saying that, and I just want to like finger snap, applaud you on that.
Thank you. And it was fun, and I enjoyed it, and I feel like things were coming the way I wanted them in some respects. But then, one thing goes wrong, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, maybe this is all bullshit. I'm just making myself crazy. I'm only seeing the things that I want to see. What would you say to that?
I would say that the universe said that your wish is my command and then disappeared and didn't give you everything that you wanted.
Why not?
Because you stopped believing in it. A lot of people, especially when you start manifesting bigger things, like that's why I said start small, start with lights, start with parking spots, is because the bigger something is that you're manifesting, the harder and longer it takes to manifest. It doesn't make it impossible.
Yeah.
But most people are like, oh, I tried manifesting $1 million for a week and it didn't work, so it's not going to. Well, guess what, buddy? You're probably 2 weeks away from it.
And it's like, the gravitational pull, it's like pulling a planet to a moon rather than vice versa. I'm sure you need a lot of that kind of gravitational, intentional, manifestational pull to get the big things.
I mean, because think about it. You and I even said when we first reconnected, you had a dream about me and I had a dream about you. And within the next week, we reconnected. We thought about each other and we were in close enough gravitational pull that we literally ran in at the most oddest of places.
Yeah.
I wasn't even supposed to be at that place that day. And I told you that.
And you were supposed to that one.
Yeah, and you never went to that place.
Maybe the first time that I ever walked in that one.
Yeah. And so it was so serendipitous. Everybody's like, oh, it was serendipitous. It was fate. No, it was manifestation. We manifested each other. But if I would have been in LA and you would have been here and you would have dreamed about me, I would have dreamed about you, and we would have thought about each other for a couple of weeks. And then suddenly I showed up on vacation. Well, that would have taken way longer because there would have been a set date for me to show up. And if at any so much more obstacles. And at any point in time, if either one of us would have been like, this is crazy, we're never going to see each other again, the universe would have broken the spell and it would have said, your wish is my command, and it would have never made it happen. And so, like, people want to give up on something because it doesn't happen when they think it should. But the thing is that if you just keep at it, it's like that whole thing where, it's in The Secret, actually, in The Secret itself. They are talking, and the guy who wrote the first Chicken Soup for the Soul book said that he was trying to manifest $100,000 by the end of the year. And he manifested it was like $98,000. Was that a failure because it wasn't 100,000? No.
I would say no.
It was close enough that it was good enough that the next year he started manifesting $1 million and he got it within like the first 3 months. And if at any point in time he would have said this doesn't work, or oh god, I didn't get exactly what I wanted, so therefore it must be stupid, he never would have made it the next step.
Yeah. Well, you've given me a lot to think about, Jocelyn.
I think I do that every time we hang out.
Yeah, it's a bad habit of yours. Can you stop it?
I know.
Stop leaving me with think nuggets in my mind. Do you leave?
Some of my friends call me the Catalyst. It's fine.
Ooh, that's a cool witch name. I see you've come to the Catalyst. Please, I'm into it.
Nah, I spent a lot of time becoming Jocelyn and being Jocelyn and loving Jocelyn. That I don't really. It's when I practice witchcraft, when I talk about witchcraft, it's honestly one of the few times in my own life that I get to be 100% myself. And so I don't need a name to practice under because I am me.
That's really cool.
Thank you.
Do you have any final parting thoughts to anybody that you already didn't give enough to think about so far? Or maybe they've come to the end of the stream and they missed the beginning. What's something that they can kind of keep in the back of their mind when thinking about witchcraft in the future?
That witchcraft is nothing but a science that we haven't explained yet. That it is prayer on steroids. And a good piece of parting advice: never leave a giant crystal globe in a window without it being covered, because it'll set your house on fire.
Is that fire safety or is that witchcraft?
Both.
Okay.
Because, who has giant crystal balls? But, mostly witches. What looks really cool? Oh, it sits on this table and it has the sun hit it. What does it do? Refract light and set your house on fire. It was literally like every time I talk to witches, that's like the base group advice.
They're like, lost my house again.
They're like,
darn crystal ball.
I think you only have one person that you know from somebody that you knew that they knew from somebody who knew.
That's all it takes.
To happen. Yeah. Just one time. One cinched carpet and you're done.
Well, Jocelyn, honestly, this has been super cool, which I knew it would be. I just really didn't have any idea how this conversation would go or what direction it would fully take. But I did know.
No idea either.
I did know I didn't need to look at my notes once.
I really didn't think you would. But I also know, like, as I told you before, that, like, me in tangents, how much random information I have in this brain of mine.
It's two,
and so I was
for one brain. There's room for more.
So I had a lot of fun. I hope other people enjoyed it.
Yeah, it seemed like the people in the chat seemed like they had a great time. And if you have made it this far in the video or podcast, leave a comment below with positive thoughts or maybe your own discoveries that you heard or thought of during the stream. Again, we're not here, and Jocelyn's not here to tell anybody there's right or wrong way of doing anything except maybe some witchcraft spells. I think she explicitly said there's some wrong ways to do that.
And that's just for safety.
That's for safety. But as far as like what you believe, I just think it was in honor of October and highlighting a really, really cool friend of mine, and just to kind of scratch an itch of curiosity that I've been having ever since you kind of brought it up. I'm like, this is a great excuse to have a really cool conversation, and that's exactly what it was. Thank you so much for sharing all that experience and knowledge.
You're most welcome. And I know that my Facebook page, that my Instagram page is just me and my writing. But yeah, I mean, if you reach out, I will try to respond. I make no promises, and that's just because sometimes I don't realize that things go into the hidden request folder.
Yeah, I think that's where all of my DMs to future guests are going. And also, you're human. You don't have to respond to every DM that you get.
This is true.
But you came on here and you shared a lot of great knowledge, and hopefully it will spark somebody else, and they might reach out, or maybe they manifest their own more close to home witch along their way.
And I guess that's what I'm trying to say, is that, like, I'm not an intimidating person. I'm kind of squishy. So, I mean, like, if you're like, oh, she's going to be, like, horribly mad at me, I probably won't be. That's just what I'm trying to say.
Very cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us for tonight's Geek Out Sesh. come back next week for some more Halloween fun, whether it's a guest or maybe we'll just be playing some games. And then, like I said, later in the month, we've got some really cool things, but I am manifesting that everything is going to be fine. And this channel is going to be so much fun, because that's really what matters to me, is I'm having a good time, and I had a great time tonight. So the universe is already bringing me what I'm hoping for day one. The spell happened so fast. So fast.
See?
So
See,
fast.
manifestation, it works.
But until next time, I am Bozer.
And I'm Jocelyn.
And you just keep
Geeking out.
Bye-bye. Mwah.
Bye.